Yo, what's going on, guys? And today we're talking about the fact that Chris Paul could remain he's expected to remain a Suns. Again, I've talked about this. I mean, I've speculated on trades, but the point guard market this year in terms of free agency and even the ones that could be available for trade, they're not really an upgrade from Chris Paul. There's no one out there who's as good as a passer as he is still without his athleticism. And there's no one out there that is as good as he is as a teammate and making, the winning plays, okay? Even though I know he hasn't won a championship, I'm just saying, like, D'Angelo Russell, Fred VanVleet, or Mike Conley, I'd still take Chris Paul over those guys. So it's supposedly the Suns are going to keep him. But in corresponding, if he does remain, they might be asking him to take a pay cut, which makes sense, okay? If he truly wants to win a championship, you've already earned a bunch of money, dude. Take a pay cut because you're not that guy anymore. You're not worth $30.8 million, okay? And his contract's only guaranteed for 15.8. So maybe they just tell him, hey, are you cool playing on 15.8? And I think he would be fine with that. $15.8 million, just have him play on the partially guaranteed contract. Because if they were to release him, okay, they would save about $16 million. But they can keep him at a lower number. And we're hearing from Brian Windhorst on his podcast that depending on how they handle it, they could see that if they can lower that amount, which it makes sense if they do try to lower that, because they could see if they could maybe, still pay him the money he gets, maybe tell him, hey, we're going to pay 15 this year, 15 next year, and then let's extend the deal 2 more years, and then you get paid 15. So you're still getting the total value of this deal, but, 2 additional years of 15 million. Because right here, they're saying a team, if they were to trade Chris Paul, the team would probably release and stretch him. But I don't think they're going to release Chris Paul. I don't think they're going to trade Chris Paul, nor does Brian Windhorst and Zach Lowe, because he's still good, okay? He's still a top 15, at least a top 20 point guard in the NBA. But he's not worth the 4-year, $120 million. Now, what if we make that... we restructure that, maybe, tack on, how the NFL does it. I don't know if you can do that, but I think these are all things that are plausible in terms of trying to alleviate the cap hit. And I think it's good and it's going to be effective for this team, in my opinion, to say the least. But I want to hear your guys' thoughts. Do you think keeping Chris Paul? Because I really think at this point, Chris Paul is better than Fred VanVleet. I think past 2 years, we've seen Fred VanVleet's shooting splits kind of regress. I still think Chris Paul's a top 5 playmaker in the NBA in terms of passing from the point guard position. It's really, if you could rework that contract, okay, 2 years left, $60 million. Tell him, hey, can we do that 2 years left? $30 million. We'll give you a Tyus Jones deal. You've made enough money, bud. Okay, you don't need the money.